That food is gross. I'm bored. Are we there yet? He pulled my hair. Can we go home now? Yes, traveling with kids is annoying. It puts you on edge, and it can be downright exhausting. So why spend the time, money, and mental energy on it? Because it can be so awesome. Everyone should travel with their kids. My wife and I love to travel. We've studied abroad and traveled over much of Europe and the Americas. And this year we're taking the kids to London, England and the surrounding area. They're now approaching their teenage years and we'd really like to travel with them, well, for the rest of our lives. So it's crucial to get them started. And what better place than an English-speaking country with kings, queens, castles, and palaces? Something every kid can understand. But there's so much more there to be had. England, and London in particular, are a cultural center in the world. A perfect place for burgeoning young minds. We've noticed when traveling domestically with our kids, they tended to like vacations that stayed in one place instead of hotel hopping. In some recent trips to Europe, we experimented with home-based stays. The idea being you're at one hotel and you use trains and public transit to see the sights in a region. This type of travel saved money, but it also came with an interesting side effect. We found ourselves really getting into the neighborhoods we were living in. We were apt to have dinner in the area, fall in love with a favorite pub, and even get to know some of the locals. We chose the Camden borough of London because of the access to regional trains, public transit, and proximity to some major sites. And well, it was cheap. Now that we had our place to stay secured, it was time to see London. So let's grab a taxi or car, right? Wrong. Most people are aware of the world-famous London Underground for public transit. But to a kid, this is the greatest thrill ride ever. Think about it. You go deep into the earth to ride cool trains with all types of people and come up to the surface in a whole different world. There are fun games to be had, like navigating us to the next attraction, musical chairs, and what's that smell? My kids loved it and couldn't believe that English kids got to do it every day. In our tour of London, we only just scratched the surface. We saw the Tower Bridge, Southwark, the London Eye, Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, War Rooms, Trafalgar Square, Covent Garden, Harrods, just to name a few. It was pure joy to see the wonderment in our kids' eyes. To them, this was a fairy tale. But that much sightseeing can really take a lot out of a kid. Never fear, London has a solution for that too. Parks, parks, and more parks. They're peaceful, safe, accessible, and yes, they have playgrounds. Whenever we saw the kids' batteries running low, we knew it was time to find a park. And it turns out they weren't even tired at all. They just needed to be a kid for a while. One day we picked up a bus for a 12-hour tour of Western England. When we first booked it, I thought the kids were going to be bored, but the opposite was true. Both my wife and I spent much of the trip gazing out the window at the countryside. But to keep this getaway interesting for the kids, we allowed them to use those horrible devices. Our first stop was Windsor Castle, where we saw the newly buried Queen Elizabeth II. Then on to Bath. We also had dinner in a proper English village. But the highlight for all of us was Stonehenge. Even to this day, my kids say it was the coolest thing they saw on the trip. But it's just a pile of rocks, right? It's hard to explain. There's almost a feeling you get while you're there. It's been a spiritual place for 5,000 years, and the setting is quite serene. Of course, time ran short in pretty much every stop, but it turned out to be just bite-sized enough for the kids. Not only is London easy to get to, but it's very easy to get out of. Just a 5-minute walk from our hotel, we were whisked away to Liverpool in just 2 short hours. My wife and I have been lifelong Beatles fans, and the band could even be blamed for jump-starting our courtship. We knew this was going to be boring for our kids, but they also had to understand this trip was for us too. Of course, they loved the train ride. We let them pick whatever candy they wanted in the snack car. Liverpool is really something else. So unique, so much to see. We took a history and Beatles walking tour for 3 hours. In retrospect, that may have been an hour too long because by the time we arrived at the Cavern Club made famous by the Beatles, the kids were shot. So we just let them sleep at the table while we took in a live concert featuring original Beatles tunes. This was the highlight of the trip for us parents. It was our Graceland, and the kids let us have that one, as they should have. Our last day included a short train trip to Cambridge. And it left from King's Cross Station, made famous by Harry Potter's Platform 9 3/4. Of course, we stopped for a quick pick. Trains are really the best way to travel. Our family loved these little adventures. To be picked up and dropped off in the middle of these great cities, we're really missing out on that in the US. I had studied a semester abroad in Cambridge and years later brought my then girlfriend there on holiday and proposed to her by the River Cam. Originally I was going to do this on a punt ride along the river, but our guide dropped a 100-pound punt on my wife's head, making her woozy for the duration of the boat ride. We still joke to this day that she was dazed when she accepted my proposal. Naturally, we thought the kids would enjoy to see the spot that it all happened and have a nice boat ride that would end the 7 intense days of travel. But they were really at the end of the line, and it had caught up to them, creating a pre-teen meltdown. After a short walk and some time to calm down, we jumped on a punt and had one last wonderful adventure. We assured the kids we'd head back to our hotel and have a nice quiet evening, then head back to the US in the morning. A fitting end to our trip. Holidays and vacations with your kids can have highs and lows. They may cause anxiety and cost you more than you wanted to spend. But those memories are forever, and there is no time like the present to start having these experiences with your favorite people.